Absolutely.
All right,
It's
chat. We just started another video. Do you want to recap everything I just said?
Sure thing. So, in a nutshell, you've been talking about building out these automated systems so that your team meetings and processes run smoothly even when you're not the one leading them. You've basically set up a system in Google Sheets that reads MLS data, tracks things like days on market, price reductions, and gives you all the analytics and alerts you need. And the goal is to have these meetings run like clockwork, so anyone can step in and lead them once the structure's in place. You also mentioned you've been diving into setting up all those pixels and retargeting ads, and you really pushed yourself to learn it hands on so you can build the skills yourself. The idea is that once everything is running smoothly, you can take a step back, rest a little more easily, and the business will keep humming along. So that's the quick recap of what you just shared. Let's keep it rolling.
Good. Ask me a question.
Sure. Since you've been working on all these systems and automations, what's one part of the business that you're most excited to see running on autopilot in the next few months?
Profit.
Absolutely. I can't blame you there. Seeing profit humming along on autopilot is definitely the dream scenario. Once everything's running smoothly and the systems are in place, that's when all that hard work pays off. It'll be awesome to see you hit that point where you can just watch the profit roll in and know
I
you've
don't
built something.
believe we're ever gonna get there. Like in my career as COO, which is, my LinkedIn's now saying it's been 11 months, basically. Profit has never been on autopilot, ever. And so, if we can get it onto autopilot and it's not, us hustling our asses off and fighting to, pay rent, pay the bills, and get everything done, I feel like I took over in a bad market and a bad systems and administration, you know, and I think getting us to profit will be very difficult, but my goal is to get there on autopilot where all engines are humming, everybody's doing their job, and as long as we all do our job, kind of like the Bill Belichick Patriot way, then profit will be on autopilot. And so that is my almost life mission. I don't know if I'll ever get there, in my opinion. For me, I can't envision it. After everything that we've done and been through with our business in the last, year of me being COO, I can't imagine what profit would be like on autopilot. I just, it's been every day waking up to a giant, business to fix and solve and implement for. There's never been a day where you're not overwhelmed in the last year. It's every day's overwhelming. Every day there's a ton of problems, and if you fixed the biggest problem in the business, there'd be 100 more problems to fix. And so that's just kind of how it's been. So profit would be my number one thing I'd love to automate.
Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. It's like you've been in the trenches nonstop, and the idea of autopilot profit probably feels like this mythical creature. But I think it's a great life mission to aim for, even if it feels far off right now. I mean, getting from that daily overwhelm to a place where the business kind of hums along without you having to fix 100 problems a day is definitely a big leap. And hey, even if it's tough to envision now, I think every step you're taking is getting you closer to making that a reality, or at least getting you to a place where it's a lot less chaotic. So keep at it, and who knows, maybe profit on autopilot isn't as mythical as it seems in the long run.
Yeah. And we got our conference coming up in April in Orlando. Dude, since the last conference, I'm like a freaking veteran that's gone to war basically in this business. Um, Everything that I wrote down to implement from the last conference has gotten implemented. It is insane the amount of work I've done in the last 4 months since the last conference. Absolutely insane. You know, and so, I'm going to be going to that conference and, hearing a lot of stuff that we have implemented and that's humming along. And it'll be just I can already tell my conversations with people will be different. It's gonna be, what are you doing that's working? It's what's more. It's no longer, you know, me just trying to figure things out and learning things. It's gonna be, I have this built, and a lot of the issues that the agents will have and the team leaders and the broker owners will have, I'll have it solved already in my business. So, there's a few things that we don't have solved. I know exactly what they are, um, but there's reasons why they're not solved because it's out of my jurisdiction to solve them. So, and that's the limitations of being COO versus CEO, is there's some things you can and can't do, and there's some decisions you can and can't make, right? So, for me, if I became CEO, which I'd love to be CEO in the next 6 months, that's my goal, is to become CEO, is basically, how do I say this? It's just different, right? So I think the conversations at the conference will just be a little bit different. I won't be going on stage. I won't be training or anything. I don't have that partnership with, the brokerage anymore. I'm solely an independent contractor, not a part of anything with corporate. So, I'd rather that. I'd rather go, I'd rather not be on stage. I'd rather not tell everybody what I'm doing or, be a face of anything. I'd rather just be low key and be at the conference. And honestly, honest to God, I'd rather be going to freaking Disney every day than sitting in a conference. I mean, I think it's cool conferences, but I think Disney is so much cooler. I got my Star Wars character in the back. I got R2D2 as well coming. So, yeah. What do you think, chat? Let's let you talk for a little bit.
Well, first of all, it sounds like you've absolutely earned that veteran badge from everything you've implemented. It's huge that you're going into this next conference basically as the person who's got all these systems up and running and can actually say, yeah, we've done that. That's a pretty awesome shift from being the person who's still figuring everything out. And I totally get wanting to stay low key and not be up on stage. That's a nice place to be where you can just enjoy the progress you've made and maybe sneak off to Disney for a bit of fun. And Ian, that's definitely a well-deserved break. So, yeah, I think it's awesome you're hitting this next level, and it's going to be cool to see how those conversations change. And hey, if Disney calls, I say go for it. You've earned a little Star Wars time.
What questions you have?
Well, let's see. I'm curious. Since you've implemented so much in the past few months, what's one thing you're looking forward to learning or tackling next after the conference? Like once you've had that Disney break, what's the next big skill or system you're itching to dive into?
The conference in April, I have no idea. I'm not looking past 90 days of implementation. Currently, I'm taking it 90 days at a time for this. The reason why is because we'll just have different problems, right? So when we solve these problems, new problems will rise up in our business. And so, I can look out about 90 days worth of work at a time currently to know what our current problems are. I think, after I honestly think with the systems I'm implementing before the conference, after the conference, I think our business will have profit on autopilot, in my opinion. So honestly, implementing after the conference, I don't know, because I don't want to implement anything. I want to let the business run on almost an autopilot, but like a watched autopilot for 30 days to gather data of where our holes are at. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense. I think it's actually a really smart approach to just let things run for a while after the conference, see where the gaps are, and not rush into the next big implementation until you know what the next set of challenges are. So, taking it 90 days at a time and then giving yourself that breathing room afterward to see what actually needs tweaking is a really solid plan. And it is. Maybe that's exactly the path to finally seeing some of that autopilot profit. It sounds like you've got a solid game plan, and it totally makes sense to just watch it run and then fine tune from there.
Cool. All right, I'm going to end the video here. We'll start another one up. Thanks, everybody.